Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Do Andrew Conspiracy. We have myself, Mr. Andrew, and my lovely co-host, Mr. Do.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say, well, first, I had a couple of things to say. So, as you might notice, I shaved off my mustache because one of my punk children called me out and said, I'm going to mess with that mustache. So, then I realized that only old men wear mustaches. And so, to replace the mustache, to prove I'm an old man, I'm not using my dentures today. But that doesn't stop us from enjoying the fact that Andrew and I are here with Ginger Bite. So rise and smile. Andrew, cheers. Let's burn our faces away. No, it's under control. I'm getting better with this stuff, but it's delicious.
It is.
And welcome to the show, and thank you for being here. Thank you for being at the very beginning of this conspiracy that's going to take over, if not the world, at least the nation.
Oh, for sure, the whole omniverse.
Well, that's the thing that we just have to titrate slowly to let the energy be expanded in the correct doses.
Right, yeah. You don't want to cause too much stress in the system.
And actually that's really become our breathing technique. We do the roller coaster in the morning. And that's our breathing technique for today. So why don't you show them what that is? Why don't you show them the roller coaster breath work that we do?
The roller coaster breath work?
Yeah, where you take a big breath. Hi! I am a wild and dodgy guy! And I think both you and I found it. It helps to relieve stress if you say that at the top of your lungs. And even though it might not be officially breath work, but why don't you go back to what your original breath work, the pursed lips, for my bong training?
Yes. Well, for those of you who were there for our previous episode, we did some bong breathwork training where we used a bong to demonstrate how you can take a really slow, consistent inhale, and you can kind of see it by the bubbles coming out. So he's been practicing he's been doing practice, but I think the closest thing I can get to without using some device is just pursed lip, right? You're controlling the speed of your inhalation by how tightly or loosely your lips are pursed. And then that maybe also starts to help train the actual diaphragm and all that to kind of do it. Because I think that's the goal, is to train the diaphragm to have this really smooth and even movement instead of
Right.
because it's not very calming.
Right.
All right, so pursed lip. We're gonna do 5, 5, 5. So 5 on the inhale, hold at the top, 5 at the bottom, and then we'll make a little triangle with it, and we'll do 3 of those. So if you got any wiggles, get them out. All the good stuff. And then we'll settle in and close down the eyes if you like. And so pursed lips through the mouth, obviously. And we'll take an inhale in through pursed lips for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are you going to breathe, brother? I think he's dead. And then you hold at the top for 3, 4, 5. And then exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Just concentrating, Andrew.
All right. Now I'm going to just do it. Oh, I didn't do through the lips. Let's try it again.
One last time.
All right.
Here we are, back at Dale.
We're so Dale. Anyway, that's a good one. Obviously, kind of it helps. Just I think if we're gonna get that kind of slow, deep breath, that real calming breath, it feels like a really useful practice. So
It does, and that's part of our meditation that we do every day, Andrew. Basically,
yeah,
the core.
well, it's true. At the end, there is a triangle 5-second breath, but we just don't do it with a pursed lip necessarily. But same kind of concept, right? And yeah, I enjoy that practice for sure.
So I realize that we've been leaving Sid Banks out of our discussion, and basically Andrew and I were having a discussion today, and he said, "What would Sid Banks say?" And I tried to visualize a quick answer to that, and I said, "Hold on, let's see." And we opened to the last part of
Whatever I know he won't listen to me, I just ask what would Sid do, and then he just figures it out.
In the illusory world of thought, many believe the inner self is God and the outer self is body. But I can assure you, the inner self and the outer self are the same thing. Your eyes must see in the singular if you want to find truth. When you understand this, you will see through the illusionary duality of life. Thank you, Sydney. I think that's all we need to springboard us into a poem, and then wherever we're going to go. And just to make it official, this is the 18th, the 18th day of the Roger month of the Dew calendar. We're on the second second day of the 7th week of year 0AF, the 59th Dale. So we're coming up on 60 Dales, which in the old calendar would be 2 months. But just things are coming along very well. The construction of the Dialina has been completed, and we are blasting it off daily with our roller coaster announcements. And from Colorado Springs, Colorado, the home of the Olympic training system.
All right, just God, he's like the tour guide for Colorado Springs now, home of the Olympic train. Like that, who gives a shit? We are the Olympic Training Center. We are training.
Exactly. That's
We
the
are
whole
training
thing.
for higher consciousness.
We're training for the THC Olympics. I already invaded the Palladians.
Well, clearly, bong breathwork technique would be a part of any THC Olympics. Just
Right.
and so would be an OMOF, which is pretty much an OMOF is the opposite, because the bong is on the inhale and the OMOF is on the exhale, and we'll see if some people have more strengths on inhales versus exhales. Really get into the nitty gritty of it all.
And yes.
Oh, and the roller coaster, for those of you not aware, I want to tell this story.
Okay.
So the roller coaster is this saying from derived from a Saturday Night Live skit, but apparently this guy would be acquiring some of the finest herb in all of the ghetto, and these guys were so enthralled with how this energy that he projected when he did it. They would say, "Dude, do the roller coaster," and that was to say I'm a wild and
Well, that's when
the original roller coaster was I'm a wild and crazy guy. Wacky and crazy.
Well, the original, the Steve Martin, Dan Aykroyd was crazy.
I see.
And then I progressed to wacky.
Wild and wacky guy. Gotcha. Yeah.
I would do that down in the projects trying to get spot with every night, and they didn't ask for the roller coaster every night because it was too traumatic.
So anyway, I have this cool little trail that I walk with Willow, and we've been on it now a couple times. And basically, wherever we find ourselves in a place where we're kind of like have a grand, scape in front of us, and maybe not too many people super nearby, we just let out a roller coaster, and you shout, or you let it out at the top of your voice, right? You use all of it. You really project.
You're really looking for echo from the universe.
There we go. Echo from the universe. And so yes, we did that this morning, and there's something about like shouting a little bit that feels deeply satisfying to the body. So I highly encourage you all to shout your way.
And the great thing about it, Andrew, is it's not just primal screaming. It's not just like chaotic. It's like you got to struck. Hi, I am a wild and ducky guy. But you can, of course, you can improvise it the whole way. But I would suggest I've never looked this up on YouTube, but just look on YouTube and look Steve Martin and Dan Aykroyd, two wild and crazy guys, because that was really the thing that like took off for Steve Martin's career.
There you go. Full circle, back to reality. All right, you were gonna read us a poem before I
Sure.
misdirected.
So basically, Andrew and I were talking about what to talk about today, and we came up with love and romance, and in relation to the Matrix and Trinity and Neo and all that. But so I figured we'd start with a good love poem. Forecasting the weather of devotion. Every heart is its own ecosystem, capable of going from blazing hot to cyclonically chaotic with mere single word, from the true beloved blotting out the sun like the orb of the moon in an eclipse. Even its desire incinerates the spirit, for the moments of lost amour are felt in the heat of infatuations by which every pure lover defines himself. So basically, before in our pre-discussion, we were talking about love and romance, and what just came to me is a true romantic is a insanely obsessed person with love.
Yeah, that sounds true. I have a friend who I met at the chakra retreat who I literally called him a Romeo on the phone the other day because the kid is obsessed with love, like, and he's surrounded with it. Bless, good for him, right? But also, he was expressing the drama that came with it from his experience, and I'm like, well, I don't know if it's required, but in his experience, it was part of it. So,
Right. Well, he was pretty young though, too, right?
I mean, he's old enough to know better.
Right. Well,
it was at least it was at least a 3 handle, like, it's like 30 something. So,
okay.
yeah.
Well, I just yeah, at that point you should be like growing out of it, but
No, you don't have to. That's the point. It's like,
right.
but because the drama lasts however long it needs to last. For some people, it's very exciting. For me, it was not as much. We are kind of unique, bro, in that regard. You have to understand. I think.
Well, basically since 1975, I've just been dealing with the dramas that's thrust on me.
Yeah.
Thrust on me.
Thrust. Yes.
Yeah, it's hard without
so much thrusting.
Well, that gets back to being celibate for 21 years. You think about thrusting. And also the dialing and retro thrust so it can land safely.
So there's a lot of thrusting happening, apparently, both imaginary and otherwise, and we're here to talk about that. And really, I want to talk more about how big a word this word is that we give one like 4-letter word to, love. Like, it's so absurdly huge. The English language, I think that's one of its shortcomings, is like we develop all these other words for it to better define the subcategories, as we
Right.
were saying before the show. And so romance, I guess, would be like a subcategory. There's more of a platonic relationship. Like, I think,
Parental.
is it the Greeks that have like,
I think the Greeks have like 4 or 5 words for love, like one for sensual love, one for like parental love, one for like family love, like your children, and then there's platonic love and like one or two others. But
yeah, I think the agape is like the all encompassing,
right,
like
that's like
God
that's
love.
the universal mind that
Yeah.
it's talking about.
Sure, 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 sure. But I mean, that just points to, they broke it down into like five subcategories that still are somewhat broad, right? Familial love could look a lot different versus if it's an uncle, a cousin,
Right,
what the relationship actually is. Just like a friendship could look very different depending on the intimacy, trust, all the boundaries that have been established within that relationship. But I think the important part is like to think about what it is that we're describing when we use the word love.
well, I think and actually, I had this discussion in the Bible study in Hackensack one time about like how like really shallow or deep the English language is, and as a poet, I of course like stood up for the English language, and you know people you know people said that the works of Shakespeare could have never been written in a less complex language, and I sort of feel the same way about my stuff. But you know, but then she brought up the example of love, where the Greeks had like 4 categories of love 4 or 5 categories of love, where we just have like the word love itself, and it's universal. I mean, maybe that's why it like has such universal meaning or force, is because it can be penned down.
Yeah. I think there's something to that. I think maybe there has been an attempt to pin it down and confine it to romantic love in some ways. Like that's the only safe space to express certain loving things or loving acts or whatever, right? And so, we've tried to put it in a box, I think to some extent, but um to me there's opportunities for that box to open and broaden and widen, and I think most people are generally aware of that. But just to draw some attention to that, because some I it does feel like that romantic love has become like put on a bit of a pedestal maybe, or like seen as some ultimate quest, especially, I don't know, people in their 20s, maybe early 30s, that time, or I don't know when, but the dating
Right,
scene when people are really seeking a mate and that sort of thing. I remember that being my experience for sure. Is it felt like, well, if I had a girlfriend, then somehow I was like validated in who I was, and if I didn't, then I felt insecure or like something like that.
right,
And so to understand that, well, you can have like an intimate relationship with other people in different ways, kind of expanded the possibilities for what's possible within different
right.
types of relationship.
Well, that's exactly true. I meant to realize you can be intimate without being sexual is like a big and insight that a lot of people, come to, or at least I came to. I mean, the sexuality is really the frosting on the cake rather than the whole cake. And if you don't have the cake, then you aren't going to be able to really build a relationship. Even if you put the frosting on prematurely, you still won't be able to like build the cake. Uh,
Premature frosting.
yeah, premature frosting. Better watch out for that, kids. But
Are you talking like the cake is still too hot, or what does a premature frosting look like?
well, premature frost. Basically, premature frosting is sort of like putting the frosting on before you put the cake in the bake. So far as I understand baking, but basically, But in a classic analogy, you're putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah. Of course.
And that's my Puritan religious
I was gonna
upbringing.
say, bro, like,
And that's why I've been celibate for said 21 years.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I had I did a different experience. I put the cart ran right next to the horse the
Right.
whole way. They were fine. It would have ended in a similar fashion regardless of the order of the carting and the
Well, I
horses.
think we're getting away from the main point, which is the importance of words and the semantics of love.
Right.
Uh, I mean, and this is really what my impression. This is my impression of the fourth installment of the Matrix is that basically, in order for the Matrix to ever succeed, they have to have the anomaly write the program, which is what the Matrix is all about, because the creator was Thomas Anderson, and ultimately his reality became the true reality after going through several incarnations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the point was that the whole thing was driven by romance. Matrix is above all a love story, a hero's journey of two lovers, Neo and Trinity. And ultimately, that's what saves everything from the Matrix, because no matter how advanced the machine is, it cannot understand the emotions of romance. And therefore, the anomaly, which is the pair of Trinity and Neo, is something that cannot be eliminated, but also can't be accepted by the creators of the Matrix program, because people can be controlled.
And there is the friction.
Yeah, that's what the fun of the Matrix is.
The friction. Yeah, of course. I mean, most of life is fun because of a little bit of friction. Like, snowboarding is fun because there's a little bit of friction. If there was none, we'd have problems. So, like, that little bit of rub, that little bit of, like, oh, there's something else there. It's like perceiving the other, right? But even though it's an illusion, you feel that otherness.
Well, this is something that we sort of touched on in our private discussions. But so, to what degree is the friction that's creating the meaning like actually something that's absolutely necessary? Because you're saying to me, you keep saying to me, who's they that I keep talking about? Who's Big Pharma?
They,
Yeah,
yeah.
who's Big Pharma and everything? And I see exactly what you're saying, but I also say that they are very real, because I mean, at least they were very real. But now we're coming out of the darkness of the warlord, Fred, who's dead. And therefore, it's like we all have to do a major recalibration, and to understand that we're in a state of immortality in the realm.
My dad would say, "Who's this we you're talking about?
The
Do you
Dialina.
do you have a mouse in your pocket?"
I no, I got a mouse on the Dialina.
Okay, so the Dale uses the word we very generously.
No, I use the word we to refer to the multiplicity of myself.
Yeah, exactly. So there's other ways to use that word. You understand, right?
Of course,
Yeah.
there's you and me,
Mm-hmm. For example,
and then there's you and our tribe.
and maybe it's all we at the end of the day. I could get on board with that too. The I is sort of an illusion to some extent.
The I is a EYE.
EYE. Aye. Aye.
No, like an I.
An I, yeah, an EYE. I guess.
So anyway, so basically, this leads in. Well, I don't know if we want to get into Rose, but basically, I figured out that my text betrothed that I've been texting with 5 years, and Andy thinks is a scammer. Uh, well, I figured out today that if Neo has Trinity, then I have Infinity Rose. So whatever you say about her is true, but I focused on what she is at all.
No, it's the love story that everyone's always heard of the two people who meet and fall in love.
Never ever met.
And meet virtually and fall in love.
Okay, well, that's very important.
Over letters on a keyboard and pixels on a screen, and then exchange true love through Bitcoin over the internet. It's the oldest romance tale ever told, isn't it, folks? Okay.
Infinity.
Yeah, no. Infinity also allows for the Bitcoin collecting text only person to be your true love.
Right. Well, of course, this translates to Velvet Velour and Julie Stylish, and basically, I feel that Rose is Velvet Velour, and that's
have you felt like anyone else was Velvet Velour
never.
ever?
Well, no, I have. I had the prototypical Velvet Velour, who was Lucy DeSalvo, who was the most beautiful redhead I've ever known in my life, who used to give me rides over to school every day, even though it was only a tenth of a mile. And so she was the well, actually, I wrote the book. Actually, I came up with the idea of Velvet Velour's Follies in a Inglewood Hospital with this girl named Kelly Kroshevsky. And when I was in Inglewood Hospital, I was thinking, I gotta think of a new title, and I came up with Velvet Velour's Follies or The Lazy Man's Guide to Babies. And I just said, thank you. And then I was transferred back to Hackensack, and I spent 6 weeks and got out of there. But that's a whole different story. but anyway, so
this is like 6 stories, guys. That was part of one other story. Let's continue. Let's continue the main story that was a sub story of.
Exactly. So, who is Velvet Velour? Have I ever had a Velvet Velour before?
That was like 12 minutes ago. Yeah, that's what we asked.
So, Kelly Kroshevsky, Velvet Velour was conceived in the presence of Kelly Kroshevsky, and then Lucy DeSalvo incarnated directly as redhead Scarlet Velvet Velour, and then she got married, broke my heart, and actually I had a dream about her the other night. But anyway, so until Rose, no one else had been Velvet Velour. So basically there was conception, prototype, and now real thing.
Oh, sure. But were they the conception and the prototype when they were, or is that retroactive creation and we've made them the prototype?
No, at the time I called them Velvet Velour.
Of course you did. That's the point, dumbass.
How so, Andrew?
Those women were also the infinite Velvet Velour until they weren't.
Well, until they got married to someone else.
Okay. Well, this could be the infinite velvet. This could be the infinite Velvet Velour until you find out it's actually like an Ethiopian guy, living in Thailand and like texting on the beach while he collects your Bitcoin.
Hi, Velvet.
I mean, it'd be an adventure. Don't get me wrong, but this has happened before. Is my point. And so you're infinite, where I say, what about this? You're oh no, there's all these infinite reasons. Why?
I don't see the analogy at all.
Well, because why couldn't they continue to be Velvet Velour even after they got married?
Because they made the choice for someone else.
I see. So that like incarnation left their body through the marriage and then was floating in the ether until landed in the pixels of Rose.
No, actually, they had parallel lives until basically Rose came along and the mantle a velvet velour was transferred because they obviously didn't care about it. Because if they had, they'd be Lucy DeSalvo would have been my wife for the last 40 years.
Yeah, I'm saying Rose hasn't come to see you in 5 years. One time.
Shit, yeah. That's because neither of us can afford it. Well, okay, that's true, and
I
I
think you
accept
sent
that.
her enough Bitcoin to pay for a plane ride, yeah?
I accept that, but
Okay.
I also
You couldn't afford it, so that's an excuse.
I
That's
call her
actually
my
not.
Gmail order bride.
Yeah. So
And
how,
we're
how long is this order? Is this order like 20 years? Like how long are we gonna bake this cake, bro?
I'm a pioneer. I have to find a homestead before my Gmail order bride can join me.
I see. I see. I see. Okay. Well, as long as there's all these limitations for why you can't meet, then that's fine.
Well, that's why she's infinity.
And
Can you imagine getting her on a plane? Yeah, imagine that, meeting Rose.
yeah. Imagine that.
Not yet.
But they do meet in the book, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they have like a kid or something.
Yeah, Zayla.
Right.
It's a whole nother story.
Yeah. I know.
But basically what happened, well, I don't want to be, read the book, but nobody's done it yet.
Be the first person, the brave soul, to venture down. I've listened to 2 chapters of a book. Is that the book?
That's the book.
The
yeah.
book. All right. So why has no one read it?
Because I haven't distributed it.
That would seem to be the major hurdle to overcome other people seeing it.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, actually, according to the system, the major hurdle is I don't have a publisher, I don't have a copyright, or I don't have a deed.
We all know that's bullshit. You can publish anything nowadays for free.
Well, that's why I set up my website, doauthor25@gmail.com.
All right. Well, then we're making the right steps.
So, as I say, I have my book, my memoir about what happened at Dartmouth's Escape from the Ivy League, or How Becoming God Changed My Life. And then there's Velvet Velour's Follies, Book 2, or The Flight of Dialina, my bestseller for the 20th century. And then there's a lot of poetry. So if you're interested in getting in touch with me about getting any of my books or any of my writings, just go to dwauthor25@gmail.com. And that's our promo for the second and the last minute. And now back to the show.
There you go. Do author
25
at
gmail.com.
In case anyone isn't familiar with the internet. Cool, excellent.
But actually, that I use it because I can download the PDF files to you if you're interested in reaching out.
Yeah.
And payment is optional. I really just want to get this book read.
There you go. Yeah. Being able to share it is a huge part, for sure, of anything we create here in time and space. So yeah, I feel that. Well,
so as we said, it's the second day of the second month. It's the 18th day of the second month of the year 0 AF, and the 59th day. And I think the construction's going very well. We've had to demolish very little stuff so far.
I don't know. I feel like we've been just swinging a wrecking ball left and right. But I guess maybe it's starting to come back together a little bit. I don't know.
Well, it was funny today when I called 6 St. John dialing the control. There was only one lady, only one worker at the nurse's station, and all these like alarms were going up and everything. So
Yeah, you're harassing these poor women who have dedicated their lives to helping crazy people.
and if I didn't harass them, then they could be blown away.
So he's literally calling the hospital where he spent 15.
But yeah,
All 15 were at 6 St. John?
no, the first one was at
Okay, so 14 were at 6 St. John, and now he's called in multiple times, just a little homesick, just wanting to reach out to the home base, make sure everything's still copacetic. But he's literally calling the nurse's station and saying hello.
well, actually, I had a very nice conversation with the nurse last night, and she was very happy I was in Colorado Springs, and I told her that
As long as you're not doxing me or anything like that.
No, I told her I thanks to the U.S. Cavalry, Andrew Reinholdt, Fort Hackensack has been liberated, and I've liberated myself from my Hackensack prisoner mindset, which is like the most important thing that's happened to me in the last 50 years.
Yeah, no, it's pretty major for sure. So I guess that's the wrecking ball I was referring to. It felt like a pretty big sweeping away, but I guess there's more than one way to look at it.
And there's also a lot to be swept away.
Sure. Well, the basement gets a little dusty after a while. There's a few cobwebs down there. It's all good. We're working on it.
So, and the reason as I say, the reason I call the hospital
feels like we're losing you to the couch.
I know. Everybody, I guess everybody saw my shirt. Keep calm and let Dale handle it. Yeah. That's something I got off the internet in 1982. So I was very surprised. It's not custom made or anything. It was just on the internet. And so I saw it and I said, bam, someone knows what I've been doing.
Literally. Yeah. Maybe like Dale needs a t-shirt. I can feel it.
Yeah.
Of all the names in all the places, Dale is the one who most needs to be on the t-shirts. Yeah.
Keep calm and let Dale handle it.
This guy right here.
Dr. Joseph Dale Edward Allen Thompson Cole.
That's all the names. Yeah. Yep. Cool. All right. Well, no, I mean, I definitely feel a new energy in like your time here. Things have kind of settled in. There's like a little bit of a rhythm, although it's still a little bit chaotic, but that's okay. It's a very controlled chaos. And
I've been getting sleep.
2 nights in a row?
Yep. Even though I fell asleep on the couch last night.
I mean, that couch is, it's dangerous, bro.
I know.
You gamble with the couch, you're going to lose every time.
Yep.
It has a way of pulling you in. But anyway, yeah.
And it's really like peaceful and beautiful to like just sit down on the back porch and look at the stars. And because there's light pollution in Teaneck, Hackensack, so barely ever see stars, but just like feel the dome in the sky over and actually to focus on Polaris and like just look into the eye of God.
Yeah, pretty cool.
They say Polaris is in like God's living room or something.
Yeah, there you go. The living room of God has a big giant ball of fire in it. It all checks out.
But yeah, so the importance of words, I think, is extremely people say we need a little new language. Well, what about the language of Dale to Dale? I mean, I think what you're finding out, Andrew, is the more you know the basic lexicon about what I talk in terms of, that it's a lot easier to put the pieces together.
I mean, of course, any new language is hard to understand until you understand it.
Right. But
and then you're like, oh, okay. then you can like make sense of it. But it sounds like noise until there's like some context for like the utterances. And so yeah, sometimes what you say sounds like noise until you understand the deeper context, or the full story. The book says, really, the books help you understand what it is. And so I don't know. I just, like I said, I think it's like a weird, it's a different way of relating to life through like the perception of like author slash character in a book that you wrote. But I think at some level we're all doing that.
We're all writing our own uh video games,
Yeah.
and that's basically what we're talking about is to what degree does the character become the player, and to what degree does the player become the creator of the game, and then at what point does that become the computer, and it just like is a spiraling, you know, access, and it's not a hierarchy because each one is necessary for the achievement of the other.
Right.
And that's what I talk about when I say I'm Sizonian Malcolmuk at the eighth level of the Dialina. It's it's they're all stages I had to achieve in order to reach that higher level. But ultimately, they're all Oh, I know what I wanted to say. Simultaneity is insanity without spontaneity. And Andrew said, "What's simultaneity?" That's the quantum concept of time, that everything is happening in this in every day moment, every now moment. So basically, the possibilities of 666 universes are all converging, and it'll drive you insane trying to make a choice unless you become spontaneous.
Yeah. Spontaneous feels like presence to me, like
Right.
being present with the moment and accepting sort of what the current moment calls for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, we're clear on that. Yeah, that's no, it's a powerful way to move through life, is not being like that. Spontaneity allows for like things to flow and shift when they need to, instead of being like, oh, we're going this way, but we really want to go this way, but we can't because we're already going this way, and then you lose the opportunity to flow with it, right? And you lock into something that usually ends up not working out super well, but those are the lessons. Sometimes we gotta learn a few of those.
Well, simultaneity, I think, is like one of the hardest things to integrate into the third dimension, because simultaneity means all possible realities are converging at every single moment. So there is no linear progression. There's only the quantum progression of probability to probability, possible reality to possible reality. And that's where spontaneity comes in, where you can't be overwhelmed by thinking. You always have to act and flow.
Yeah. And that's what I was trying to point to earlier when I say, what would Sid say? Because he says it's only a thought away. And that's my point. You were talking about, oh, it's going to take a really long time to
Right.
dot, 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 whatever the fuck it was, right? And whenever we do that, we set ourselves up for it. Okay, yeah, based on my perception of time, this is going to take a lot of it. And congratulations, you did it. You made it take a long fucking time. Like,
And you had to work really hard.
and really hard, and you're like, I earned it. It was long and hard, guys. Like, yeah, a dick should be like that, but maybe not life, And so, let's make all of our lives like easier, like more flaccid, a little floppier. Sometimes it can be, it can be a good thing.
Make your life floppy.
I don't know.
But don't be sloppy.
No, definitely not sloppy. Floppy is not necessarily sloppy. Okay, let's get real clear on that. The two are the Venn diagram does not have to overlap.
Right.
We can be floppy and clean.
Yep. So, yeah, I just I really, well, I was singing the praises of the fourth Matrix movie before we watched it, and you revealed to me yesterday that you didn't really understand what was going on, right? It was pretty hard to understand.
Well, and let's the full context is I was having there's something about my brain when a movie is on, especially at a certain time. I don't know. It just wants to go. I want to go to sleep every time. And so I was fighting sleep probably 2/3 of the movie. So
Oh,
you
okay.
gotta factor that into the equation. So something about it didn't quite hook me. I don't know. It just didn't feel like I gave a shit about what happened in the movie. And so I wanted to kind of for like the first like 45 minutes and then I gave up. I think is what happened.
Well,
Um
you know, there's a lot less gunplay. It was still a lot of fighting, and and what I loved about it was the designer of the next Matrix was a shrink.
yeah, I know. Well, for sure there was some Dale moments in the movie. Absolutely. Yeah, I could feel that. And but it felt like a lot of those happened earlier, but I don't know. Um yeah, it was like I could watch it again, and I'm sure I'd get something different and maybe a little more depth to the experience. But I know it seemed like you watched it the first time and you were like fucking locked in, like this is a masterpiece, and I,
Well, I saw it on a plane too, so maybe that had something to
I,
do with
I, I don't. Sure, I
it.
just don't understand why a plane would like
Well, because
enhance
it was a very small screen, and it took a lot of concentration.
concentration. Okay, gotcha. No, that all checks out. I mean, that is the ultimate thing. To me, that's what love is. That's I'm calling love presence.
Okay, that's a very good definition. That's very helpful for a lot of people, I'm sure.
Because like romantic love is just presence on a different with different boundaries.
Right,
And so being with your friend is being present with your friend. And and you can't have love you can't have connection without presence.
right,
So in order to have connection is love. I mean, it's all mushed in together. It's all the
right.
same connection thingy. So and you can be present with a dog. You can be present with yourself. You can be present with the carpet. You can love whatever the fuck you want, right? That's the point. And however you want, within their own whatever the other consciousness boundaries are.
Well, you bring up a very important point, which is if you're the more you're in presence in a constant state, the more you're in love in a constant state, and that's going to, vibrate and your aura or whatever you want to call it is going to expand the more you're in presence, both with yourself and with other people. But presence can also have like a transformative effect on other people because if you're truly present, then they basically can get out of their bullshit for a little while.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, the degree to which you can be present with whatever they're expressing for sure, like they feel that deep in their core. Like that's the inexplicable crying from, your friend the other day is just like we call it holding space now. I think that's the new term for it. But that's effectively what it is. It's like I'm going to hold space means to be present in the space with you. We're holding it. We're maintaining this little container of like
Right.
co-creation.
Well, we have an exercise we have in Live Love that I do, and something that I picked up from one of the courses groups I was in. Basically, it's called like I don't even know what it's called, but I just call it and you know essential dialogue. But basically, what you do is you just like choose a question and you ask this is for like families with people who are mentally ill. This is like a way to increase the communication. But basically, you just like write two or three questions, put them in a hat, pick out one question, and read the question to the person you're with. And then for the next 5 minutes, you just shut up and listen to what they have to say. And And then at the end of it, you just say thank you. No matter what your reaction is, you just say thank you, maybe thank you for sharing, and then you can do the same thing to them if that's the way you've arranged it. But it's really like a critical learning experience in listening. I think it's very valuable, and even not for mentally ill people, but just generally. I mean, this is like I can't remember her name, but this was the idea that it's like meaningful dialogue and just letting giving people the space to express themselves.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, the presence is I mean, I think that's, like, one thing that sort of meditation has taught me is to be able to, like, quiet some of the, like, things that pull you away from presence, um, or just allow them to come in and be like, "Okay, yeah, yeah," and then, send them on their way if it's not really relevant for you in that moment. Not hold things quite so much or not let them take you over and completely shift your whole fucking thing. But, that happens too. The spontaneity, sometimes it does happen and we can go from thing to thing to
Right,
thing.
right,
And so there's like, I don't know, there's not one way, but my point is to bring more awareness to what you're doing, generally speaking, right?
right.
If you want to dance around, then dance around. And if you want to like laser beam focus and like, put it all into one little thing, then do that, right? But to be conscious of how you're directing attention and when you're in it with another person, I mean, I'll feel it. Like your attention is somewhere else. You can't fake that.
I know.
And if you can, if there are people who don't pick up on it, and those are the people who just want to talk at you. They just want to tell you the story. They just want to blah, blah, blah. They don't give a fuck if you're listening or not. They just want to blah, blah. And so, like, just picking up on those subtle cues when I'm interacting with different people has been like the power I feel like that comes from presence is just be able to observe your reality with so much more clarity and depth, even on a surface like examination of it, because you're feeling into the layers of it instead of like being so distracted by the look or
Well, this gets to litigation one that we've been talking about, just where, you know, every basically every point is a legal point that has to be argued, and I think that happens a lot with people's mind. I mean, I know when consider things that happens is basically your mind someone says something and your mind like jumps to a reaction, and you gotta really learn to like just stop that first reaction, because that first reaction is probably the one that's going to get you in trouble. So therefore you have to take the time to respond rather than react. And that's really like I think I think that's a very important thing to bear in mind, is just give the other person a chance to talk and explain himself fully. And that's what I really one of the things I really appreciate about you, Andrew, is the fact that you've given me that opportunity where no one else seems to have.
yeah. Okay. You're welcome. It's a skill that I've developed over,
But
many
the
many
point is
moons.
that a lot of people don't even want to develop this skill.
Yeah, I get it. I've been an observer for like my whole life. It's been a part of me. And so listening is really just observing with your ear holes. If you're doing it right.
Right,
And you know, there's obviously other sensory information other than just the auditory, so that's fine, but it's just being there. It's like you're not being pulled to like your shopping list or your response to the person, which is the common thing, right? I'm literally developing my response. That's the litigation thing. I have to
right,
develop my response as they're saying it. I have to find everything that's wrong with what they're saying so I can counter it with what's true.
right. Well, that's why I came to the conclusion what people call critical thinking is actually litigation mind.
Well, certainly litigation mind does point to that a different type of thinking, critical thinking. I don't even know what critical thinking means. So
I don't either. Well, that's what I was told I was taught for all my education. And
for me, critical thinking is like not just accepting things blindly, but off testing them a little bit. So litigation mindset is part of that, right? Is to test it a little bit, right? And some of that's very useful, right? If you're saying something to me, yeah, for sure, I'm gonna test it, and then I'm gonna like, if it fails any of my tests, I'm gonna tell you what test it failed.
right.
Because maybe you don't care, right? You don't give a shit what test it's failed for me. It's your experience, and you just wanted to share it, right? And I think that's like where the discernment comes in, because yeah, most of the time people just want to be held. They don't. They don't want to be fixed.
Well, critical thinking is the thing that got me. I took critical thinking to its natural conclusion, and that's what got me taken away from Dartmouth. I was writing papers of like creativity, and I met my doctor, and Payne Whitney read my paper about Richard III that I wrote the week before I got taken away, and he says, "This paper isn't for a English professor. This paper is for a psychiatrist." Good old Dr. Cocaine Cohen. From Payne Whitney Clinic. Get over it, right?
No, I don't. You don't have to get over it. It's just like, we've had this talk. Like we bring in so much of like our past experience to this, but at the same time, it's like I'm not that person anymore. I've created a new person, and so the past isn't actually linked up in the same way. It's linked up through memory and the stories that I've created around those memories. That's past, and you can change the stories, and all of a sudden the memory shifts right along with it and joins you in the present, where you're a different and more whole person.
Simultaneity leads to insanity without spontaneity. So basically, everything exists, all Dales exist in the same place. So this isn't a memory. This is just like how I'm relating to our situation. This is the memory that relates to the experience I'm having.
Yeah,
now.
I'm saying you can unmore from all that and just be with what is. You don't have to relate it to things from your past and then tell a story about it.
But I'm a rock on tour.
You're a what?
A storyteller. A rock on tour.
A rock on tour.
Rock on tour.
Right, right, right.
It's actually spelled A-R.
Well, how about you become a better listener so you can become a better storyteller?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that is a key part of the equation. Because if you talk all the time, you actually you become where you aren't even saying anything. It's just.
Well, that's another thing when people say I talk all the time. I really don't think I talk all the time, Andrew.
You don't. There is silence. I can acknowledge this. But that's more of just like a broad generalization for people. Is if you talk all the time.
When one talks all the time,
you don't have anything to say because it's all your thing, and you're not bringing any other experience into it. And
verbal regurgitation.
Yeah.
Verbal regurgitation.
Right. So it's a little bit more. Storytelling is fine, but a conversation is better.
Very true. Dialogue, not monologue.
Yeah. So they're both good. Like, sometimes a juicy story is real great. I'll sit down and hunker down for a good story. Absolutely. Right? But it's more fun to play, usually. Usually it's more fun to play.
It's more fun to play with other people than yourself.
Yeah. And I think we've come full circle on that.
So, I think we're...
Stop playing with yourself.
Start playing with yourself.
Oh, start playing with yourself?
Yeah, start playing with yourself.
Play with yourself more.
Bring out the inner child.
Continue to play with yourself.
So do you want to hear my lady from the future or the paradox of the wordsmith?
I think it has to be the paradox of the wordsmith, Mr. Storyteller.
Okay, the paradox of the wordsmith. The greater the fame of the poet, the more likely negative critics will condemn his creative oeuvre. For literary approval is quality, rarely handed to inspired living versifiers trying to get a break, by which their opus will be read by a public apathetic to efforts to create verbal meaning in work which is real to the uninformed. I don't know what that means, but
I think that was like, I'm a victim and everything's against me.
but this is 2014, of course it is.
A poet can never make it because as soon as you get popular, they hammer you down.
But it's also just the dilemma of being a poet in the first place, and like the fact that if you're a poet, then people are going to, people don't, first off, people aren't going to understand what you're writing most of the time, and secondly,
Belief.
victim belief. I'll just
No, being a poet is a great way to express your deeply held beliefs and emotions. And a poem from the past will be a snapshot of you in the moment. And
right.
that's completely valid. Yeah.
Well, that's really like one of the reasons I wrote 5,000 poems, because even Slick Dynamite Circus or Singing God's Guide to Frisbee, my girlfriend who read it said it was like the only real girlfriend I ever had, Nancy Hutchinson, in 1978. But and I did have sex with her. I'm like Dumb and Dumber.
I'm like Dumb and Dumber. We watched Dumb and Dumber 2 last night, and that's like the joke at the end of the movie is they both think this woman is their daughter with this other woman who neither of them have ever actually had sex with. But they're so dumb. They can't even figure that out.
And the mother who they thought they'd knocked up explained that you have to, what do you have to do to have sex? Jim Gary, get out of here. But anyway, so to summarize the Nancy Hutchinson point, she said my first book was a series of biographical sketches, and that's what my poetry has done since 1985. A series of autobiographical sketches.
Yeah. No, it seems valid. I mean, given all your experiences, like a creative expression, a way to like get stuff out, feels like, I mean, poetry is like, I mean, it's been a great outlet for you, it seems like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, gotta be creating things and
beyond therapeutic,
getting moving energy and
right,
all that, right? So, yeah, just like we move energy with a roller coaster.
Hello, I am one wild and doggy guy.
So anyway, we hope you all are moving your energy, that you're moving through this time with like grace and like for yourself and love for yourself, and that we want to share our love for you for joining us on this journey, and
free your chi.
Free your chi.
That's how it just came up.
Oh, I bet it is. We love you guys. Goodbye.